Hey, so I'm not in the best of moods, but it doesn't take long to cheer me up. And honestly, I don't really want to have like a big rant about how much internet dating and social media sucks. I mean, I think it's pretty self evident that everyone experiences it at some point in time, that notion or epiphany that it does suck compared to what you aspire from it. Maybe what your aspirations within it are probably better than what actually happens for most people. Like it's kind of like making a song and you don't think it sucks and then nobody likes it, or you just you see a lot of people that maybe you like the same things you do or really get at the things you like, or just they travel, or they're doing things and they inspire you, and then maybe like a month on you're kind of like cool, like this is like universal communication, like it's better than TV, it's better than going on Instagram and seeing little videos people make. Oh, these are funny, or these are better. I'm not missing out on things like just entertainment, but at the same time, it's kind of like this travel package that like you see people go to like Brazil or something, or like going to concerts or festivals, and you're like, totally, that's awesome. Like you know, kind of you feel like this thing, this pathway in your brain where you're visualizing it, and you're not experiencing it firsthand, but you're not also like in a negative thought pattern of like, oh well, it's just kind of vicariously living through other people because of whatever reason. And after a while, it's just kind of like is empty, and you know, I mean, nobody promised me or I don't know anybody else that was like promised like, hey, put your music up on Reverb Nation or wherever else, or MySpace or SoundCloud or any site, and like, yeah, people will just you know it's gonna be awesome exposure, traveling, positive, all that crap. You know, the stuff that maybe you hear in music that like kind of is like, oh yeah, it's all good, like like that feeling of like, oh yeah, it's like your favorite radio show or something, and it's not. It's kind of like boring, tedious, monotonous. You don't see a lot of change, a lot of any change. Everything kind of just goes really fast, basically. Um, the window or like the period in which like, oh, I get like that old feeling of like I'd get a record. I just kind of let it sink in, and that was like my day, like three or four like singles or LPs, and I'd just go home, listen to those, maybe have some beers or whatever. I don't know, whatever. It's that some beverage, I don't know, absolutely not. But like it was secondary because the music was first, and the vibe, comfort of that, and like just like the inspiration and like the motivation to like get better at producing and DJing, and you know, I mean, maybe I'm working out issues like by doing these things. I don't know, but at the same time, I mean, it's one. It's kind of like you never hear a lot. Like I never hear a lot of the people that I listen to just talk by themselves. I just kind of. It's always like they're being prompted, and sometimes I think about like how what do you got to say if someone's not asking you, because maybe it's detrimental to your career to go and be really outspoken about something like apparently it was criticism for Dixie Chicks to talk about President Bush and all that shit way back when, or like other people throughout the years, but that's just one example. You know, I don't know. ultimately, I didn't. It didn't change my opinion of their music or who they were. If anything, it just kind of made me reassured me that they were actual people behind the songs and they had their own lives and all that. And that was cool. And of course, they're hot. Whatever. They're all married. Whatever. So, anyways, like my eyes are shut just because what's the point of me looking at the camera? I mean, honestly, you see my eyes already, so it's okay. I'm not trying to lie to you. It's just it's picking up on my body language, like, oh, well, he's doing all this other stuff. Like, what is he trying to say? And I don't know. I mean, honestly, you kind of got to put into something in order for it to be significant to you enough to where you're cognitively doing it to other people, like making symbols or gestures or whatever the shit, whatever in your song, like the double entendre or meaning or whatever the fuck you're doing. It's like, I mean, sometimes in order to get to positivity, you have to just be kind of negative, in a negative space, maybe. Or maybe it's just like, you visualize like a rock on top of like you blocking like the sun, setting or whatever, some beautiful thing over the hill and there's trees and you're just kind of looking around and you see this rock just blocking it. And you're like, well, it kind of keeps you from burning your eyes on the sun. At the same time, you can't see what's beyond it. And so, but instead of like getting up and trying to break your back to move it, you just kind of wait and you just kind of sit there still. And you're still and you're breathing. And then eventually the sun just keeps setting. I mean, the sun's just going to keep setting either way. It's going to wane. And eventually it's not going to be direct light in your horizon. It's just going to be kind of casting over the hill or whatever. And that's kind of like where I feel like this is going. Where when you release music, voice cracking, that or anything like that. But I think just with the music thing is that you feel like this white hot intensity or like some form of like just purity to it in some sense. And it goes away because it can only stay up in the sky for so long. And eventually it's got to just keep going, rotating around everything else, like everything else. And, so. That's the way love is too, I guess. And attention, just talking to people, like what's on your mind, concepts of relationships, and it can't be helped if at this point you're like, this is just a cluster of words and it's not actually something to follow. But basically, it's kind of like sports. Like I could be like total attention be drifted towards or taken towards what's going on in the EPL, the transfers that are going on, who's signing who. Can't wait to see this new side, this new team Tottenham's got. At the same time, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here and go somewhere else and do something else, But honestly, it's, what I care about right now. It's Friday night, and I'm thinking about football tomorrow. And then I'm kind of in the back burner, I'm thinking like, oh, the Vikings are playing in London pretty soon. Man, I remember when I heard about that would have been sweet to go to. Still would. But I don't have a passport, and I don't have money to go. So it doesn't matter anyways, right? And same thing with just Instagram or anything else. Like, it's just constantly revolving cycle of shit that would be great, but it just is a picture show. And it ultimately isn't really, it all tallies up. It's just kind of like an hour of TV, frame by frame. And I know it's real people's lives, and we're all putting ourselves out there. It's just doesn't feel very country or very soul or very rock and roll or techno or whatever. I mean, it's just music. But if I didn't have it, I don't know what I would have. Even if it's taken as being ironic or postmodern or somehow like hipster or bullshit or weak or whatever. I mean, shit. Like, I mean, if everything is produced like dubstep or industrial music or metal, I don't know. I've never met somebody that just listened to metal. I've never met somebody that just listened to dubstep. I've never listened to somebody that just listened to like heavy, hard thumping, like hip hop. Like, I mean, I know that that is true for some people, but at the same, because I mean, like you don't have music going all the time. You know, it's like you don't transcend. I mean, it's like, it's like I think of like DJs like I really like, or the shows or mix I've heard, where it's just like, or even when I like put something together and I like the movement of it, is that it's not about just sustaining the same intensity for like an hour. It's about like kind of like just dropping in and out of like rhythms and beats and rhymes and playing off of each song. Even if it's just something kind of cheesy, like, or not cheesy, but just like coincidental, or like, something has the same song title as the next song, but they're two different genres, so you just put them together, or like they hit pause on the same break or some shit like that. Look into the light. Let's see what you see.